Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Breakthrough Blueprint, where we talk to entrepreneurs about their journeys, the struggles that they've overcome, and any tips and tricks that they have for our viewers. Today, I have my good friend Jordan Carroll on here. He's an entrepreneur, a community builder, and so much more. I'll let him introduce himself.
And so much more. Maybe we focus on that. Yeah, my name's Jordan. I'm originally from California, and I've spent the past about 6 years between Mexico and Colombia and built a beautiful life in Latin America and know Spanish now, which is awesome. But in that journey, also been an entrepreneur. I started off in coaching, and I started off as coaching people how to find remote jobs. So that was kind of my first shot at what I would consider maybe a real self-employed business. And I wrote a book and developed a course and coaching programs and took hundreds of people through that process to help them find remote jobs. And then a couple years ago, I transitioned after building my own personal brand and understanding what that takes online, especially in like the LinkedIn space. I transitioned into an agency that essentially helps thought leaders of different companies, whether it's a CEO, founder, an executive that's looking to be more out there on the interwebs, especially on LinkedIn. We help them with demand generation and outreach, lead gen. And then recently, in the past couple of months, we've really started to hone that in with a new brand called Wellness Founders and helping wellness brands. So that's really my passion. Within the past couple of years of being here in Medellin, I've been building community here. We built a run club that's gone from 4 to 200 people per week. Sweat and Chill event, which is a sauna ice bath morning party, and then a couple other communities. So I'm really big into the community space as well.
Mhm. That's amazing. And I've personally been to the Run Club and some of the other events, and it's actually incredible to see like the branding, the coordination, the organization. Obviously, I'm sure there are a lot of moving parts and people to coordinate, volunteers, and all of that that goes on behind the scenes to make it seem effortless. Can you tell me how you got started with those? What was the first event?
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely you hit it on the head. But we try to make it look effortless, but it's definitely not. That means we're doing a good job in some ways if it looks effortless. I actually came to Medellin and in a couple of these communities already existed. So there was a guy who's the founder, his name's Lice, and he was doing the run club. So he had started off in April of 24. And I came a couple months after that to my first run club. And I just noticed that, there were some ways that I could support him. So how it really started was me involving myself and just seeing where it is that I could provide value. I started coming every week, and I was like, "Hey, man, let me help you pass these things out. Hey, I'll bring the music. Hey, I'll do this." And it eventually turned into I became so valuable that he couldn't run it without me anymore. And that's kind of a theme of my life in terms of my entrepreneurship journey, as far as community building, as far as kind of any opportunities. And one thing that I talk to people about, because when I transitioned from the coaching world into this whole world of like agency life, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just reached out to a bunch of people that I really admired and respected as my mentors. And I was like, hey, I'll work for you for free up to 5 hours a week. Here's what I'm really good at. Here are the places in your business I want to work in to learn these things. And I sent that like a 4 page mentorship proposal to like 5 people. And what was ironic was 4 of the 5 actually just hired me as a consultant. So I was offering to work for free, and they saw so much value in what I was pitching them that they're like, hey, I'll pay you, come and help us do this. And the theme between all those was helping them create content and helping them build their personal brand, because that's what I had already done for myself. And that became like a really good lesson is you don't have to start from 0 to 1 with anything. And that was really how I got involved in all these things. And then all the other communities we started building together. So the Sweat and Chill, the 11 a.m. Presents, same thing with the Breakfast Club in the entrepreneurial breakfast club. Like I got involved later. The guy was leaving. He's like, I need someone to take it over. I have a lot of facilitation experience, so I was able to just kind of step in and provide a lot of value.
Love that. That is so awesome. Yeah, it's amazing because I first went to Medellin or started living there in 2022, and then I didn't come back until July of this year. And then when I come back and I saw all of these events, the health and wellness, the entrepreneurial stuff, the spiritual mindset, breath work things, I was so impressed because like that's what I love to do. And back in the day, it was mostly there were some things like that, but it was a lot of partying. And now you can still find that if you want, but you can also make so many friends so easily with just going to your events around. I went to the Sunset Paddle Party. That was amazing. The vibes were great. So many people came. And just to see like community involvement from the entrepreneurial side, like the vendors that you guys have. It seems like you love to showcase, Colombian businesses as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd say that you're hitting on a really important point, which is, you came here in 2022. I was here in 2022 for a bit as well, and noticed how different culturally it's become. Part of it, I think, is a concentrated effort of some people who are saying like, I want to be able to find the types of events that I want to go to. And I don't drink alcohol. So for me, the nightlife scene and the partying and the drugs, like I've had that life before. I just, it's not where I'm at now. And I really wanted to see more things that I would enjoy going to myself. And it just happens to be that I also enjoy being in charge of it or having some sort of leadership role in it because I've had a lot of event experience. And actually, I think my first real venture was I ran an event company, which I didn't mention that, but I ran an event company in like 2017, and I've always been involved in like getting people together, and it's been a passion of mine. I think that there's kind of like seeing the changes in the culture in Latin America, which are usually a few years behind what's happening in the US. It takes some time to kind of trickle down as far as the trends and the different things. And wellness is one of those massive trends that the industry itself, whether it's wellness tourism or whether it's wellness tech or hospitality, like all these things are just exploding now. And there's a real desire for younger generations who don't drink as much, who still want to have fun and do something. So we've gotten connected to a bunch of local brands in different ways. I think just as we've grown these communities, it's been really important for us to look at our communities as a content business, not as a community business. So as soon as you reframe like what we're doing is actually a content company and not a community company, then you start to see all the value levers that you have where brands want to be participating because they know they're going to get great content out of it. People have FOMO because they get to see the content and they're like, oh, that looks like I can imagine myself there. It looks great. Or even with the Run Club, every Sunday, we have a professional photographer there every Sunday. So people are like, I might be in the photos. I want to go. And some of it's even subconscious, right? You see a brand or you see the content and you just resonate with it at a deeper level that may not even be conscious. And that drives emotional decision making, which is really what we want to be able to create. And then the value with being able to offer content packages and different things to the sponsors is one way, but it has been difficult in some ways because I think a lot of the local brands here there's just a different mindset around kind of long term versus transactional, like being involved in events and because it's been more proven in the U.S. I
Mhm.
think the culture's changing, but I think it's up to us to kind of articulate the value of what they're doing at our events and how we can feature them and actually help them.
Definitely. That's amazing. I love that. I mean, it's super clear that you have this ecosystem of the content. I have a Medellin Run Club t-shirt. The
Hmm.
font, the
Yeah.
style, limited releases, like it's very just so thoughtful and impressive, like when you really look at it. So I love that part of it. And are you also involved in the Parceros community?
Yeah, so parceros, so I try to make it like, see if I can make this as easy or simple to understand, is that parceros is founded by Isabella, a woman. She's Colombian, she's from Cali. She's our business partner in the 11 a.m. that we call it the Medellin Wellness Group. So it's the 11 a.m., the Run Club, and the Sweat and Chill events. So she had a separate community called Parceros before. And then when we brought Isabella in, it really helped us expand like what we were able to do because she already had all these contacts from her business in Parceros, and it became another distribution channel. And I've collaborated with her on a bunch of her events, become, been an MC for some of her events or helped
Mhm.
her, with the organization of some things. And we've kind of just used these different brands as just distribution channels. So she has so many people that come to Medellin that want her help to get integrated. And us being able to do that with all these other brands has been easier because she already had kind of a foundation here too.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I went to that mixer, the rooftop mixer you guys had like a month or so ago, and there was like 100 people, 200 people. It was really amazing.
Yeah, and that's it's a testament to the infrastructure of Medellin and the type of people that are here. I mean, there's a lot of people here that stay here, year round, at least foreigners.
Mhm.
There's a lot of locals that I lived in Mexico before, and I felt like in Mexico it was much more difficult. Maybe it was just the part of Mexico I was in, but much more difficult to see like the integration of the cultures as far as locals hanging out with foreigners. And here, I feel like it's very natural that like I have a lot of Paisa friends. I have a lot of people in my network that are Colombian and that really love some of the things that we're doing and benefit from it. It's been great to also have one of the things we do through Parceros is volunteering. So we do volunteering once a month at an orphanage in San Javier, and so that's been really great too. So again, we've used like the distribution channels of these different communities to be able to reach a lot of different people. Like you said, these events, we can get 100, 200, 300 people there.
And then that's amazing, the community building. I think it's amazing also just having these intentional spaces where both, the foreigners, expats can mix and mingle with Colombians. I think that's really great. And then I guess what's next for you personally and professionally with your business?
Yeah, so I'd mentioned we'd gone through this pivot, this transition to focus on the wellness side. So I'm building up what it's called Wellness Founders, and this brand will essentially consist of a podcast, different services, whether it be ad optimization through a partner network that we work with, or LinkedIn thought leadership, outreach, things like that, which we can execute through the content agency, or also UGC content. So we have creators. There's like a local wellness center right now that we're working with where we have all these creators in our ecosystem that want opportunities to do UGC content. Like they want to be UGC creators and we can connect them with the local brands. So that there's different ways that we can execute on this right now. It's really just about having a lot of conversations in the space about what people are struggling with and then understanding the different ways that we work with people. How can we help them? Because we still have clients in like the SaaS space and the AI space and tech space and things like that.
Hmm.
But me personally, I have another business partner in the agency, and he's essentially doing a lot of the day to day. And then I'm working on like the vision right now of the wellness founders. And within 6 months, I want to be kind of the foremost leader in like wellness marketing. And where that niche exactly goes, I don't know. I'm talking to a lot of different people. I'm talking to people that run massive wellness centers. I'm talking to people that run massive, D2C supplement brands, talking to people that run wellness tech companies, wearables, or platforms. So I have a lot of interest just in everything. So let's see where it goes. When you're first starting out a pivot like this, it's really just about capturing data and getting a lot of people into conversations. So that's the stage we're in right now.
Definitely. I love that. That's amazing. And I know that I saw you went to, was it the Running Man event in
Hmm.
Georgia?
Yeah.
What was that for you?
Yeah, that was cool. It was like a 3-day festival. It was a mix between like a music festival, a wellness retreat, and a race. So the first day you get there, there's, kind of opening ceremony. They had a couple speakers. They've got this mile-long loop track around everything, and then inside the mile are tents. So you could like rent a tent, which is what I did. You could set up your own too, but I wasn't traveling from Medellin with a tent. So I just went with what they provided, which was really nice little accommodation with like a real bed. And then they had all these vendors there. I was so impressed with the amount of vendors there. Like I'd never seen an event that had so many giveaways. There's just thousands of products. I mean, it was crazy. They had a free bodega. No one was there watching it. You just walk in and there's just stuff everywhere to take. I'd never seen anything like that at a conference. That was pretty cool. And the second day, you choose your own amount of mileage, so you can pick if you want to run a 10K, a half, a full, an ultra, and you just get eight. They just have an 8-hour clock, and everybody picks whatever they want to do. So I went in wanting to do a half, and I ended up doing about 21 miles.
Wow.
And yeah, I've done a few marathons before. This one was particularly tough. It's the first one I did since I had a knee surgery a few years ago. So, and I didn't train, so I had no idea how many I would do, but I got to like the 21st mile. I was like, I think I'm good. I'm gonna. To be fair, I also had a couple THC seltzers, so I was like, which they're giving out for free. So I was on like mile 15. I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I just drank one of these, and it just got weird. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to stop. And then I hit the ice bath. They had the world's largest sauna, so they had this massive sauna where they had other ship classes, and they had ice, the ice baths. They had the massaging um, massage guns and like compression boots. They had a Ferris wheel where you could do a blood test, basketball game. They had all sorts of stuff. So it was cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, that looked really unique and awesome. I'm sure you learned some things that you want to apply to your own events. Is there any like
Yeah.
sneak that you can give us?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few things. One is just seeing people do those kinds of things at that scale, because there's probably 800 to 1,000 people there. It's a 3-day festival. Most of our events are a few hundred people. They're within a day, but it made me think of like what's possible here with the right infrastructure, with the right marketing and messaging. Like, what would we want to do? And I'm not certain I would want to do a big multi-day festival, but it gave me the idea that okay, we could do something like that, and it just kind of gets the wheels turning. And then there are also like all the little micro activations where I took a lot of ideas from like, okay, here's how we could help our sponsors be successful. Here's how we might, and just even talking to them, I was talking to many of them about, hey, are you any desire to be in Latin America or, things like that? Because I'd love to get some of those particular brands here if we could to our events. And
Hmm.
yeah, I've set up many conversations with those brands too, just to talk about their involvement in some of our events or to be on a podcast or whatever it is.
I love that. I mean, as much as like there's so many events and stuff around wellness in Medellin, I feel like when you go grocery stop shopping, there's still like not that many health food products. I know they have like certain health food stores and things like that, but
Hmm.
widely, like I'm still impressed that that opportunity has not been seized upon by some company, whether American or otherwise or whatnot. And so I think that's really awesome. And I know like even with Sweat and Chill, like those sell out in like 4 minutes sometimes. So I'm sure there's a huge demand for a bigger, longer event, whether a
Hmm.
retreat or something like that would be amazing.
Yeah, and we've done a couple. So this is our 10th one this week. The Sweat and Chill. We did two of them at this venue in Envigado that had capacity for 300 plus. So we had two events that were over 300 people. And the only issue was to find a venue that could do that and have all the different things that we need. It was far from the city, like it was like 30, 40 minutes and you had to go up a hill. Some taxis were getting stuck. You just imagining all the things that we had to bring up there too. It was kind of a nightmare getting the ice couldn't get up there. So we had to have a truck go down to get the ice, come back up. But there were a couple moments like that where we were like, oh, okay, this is a lot. And so I think we landed on being more consistent. When I say smaller, like our events are still 100 people. To some people that's small. To some people that's big. To me, having something like the most important thing is consistency, and then us being able to do this every month
Mhm.
consistently, and also know the location very well. I think that helps with a lot of the logistics because we don't have to recreate the wheel every time.
Definitely, that makes sense. I'm sure, especially just dealing with the landscape and things there. There's so many
Uh,
logistical things you've had to overcome. But I guess what is one of the biggest struggles that you've had to overcome just in your career in general? Because I'm sure there have been some.
Sure, yeah. I would say like more recently I'll stay with the community examples because I think those are interesting and then I can maybe say a few from the other agency side. It's just working in a different culture. Working in Latin America had to force me to change my communication style. Because I'm naturally a very direct person. I'm naturally I give a lot of feedback, constructive feedback. And I had a few moments in especially the early days of us in these communities where the way that I was approaching the situations and how direct I was not accustomed here to the culture. And, there were ramifications or consequences of that communication that we had to deal with. And it was like, oh, okay, maybe I should like take a step back from being involved directly in communication. And that's been great to have Isa here because she's Colombian and she understands the culture much much better. But it's
Yeah,
been a gift at the same time because I think I've been able to learn a lot about myself. I've been able to learn a lot about the culture here and how to just be more how to be received in the way
mm,
that matches my intention of being received. So that's been great, and it's helped me with my other team too in the agency because I have people all over the world, and I've been able to kind of soften and be more compassionate and be more considerate of how other people are feeling and not just go straight into feedback and like tell people what they're doing wrong or things like that. So that's been good. Yeah. And then on the agency side, I think there's times in the beginning, especially when we took on, you're taking on clients and you or early on, you're not 100% sure all the time if you're going to be able to help people become successful. And you have to be honest about that. And I think there were some mistakes around like certain clients that we took on. And the churn reflected that, because we'd have times where if we weren't sticking with like, hey, we know we can really help this person because of X, Y, and Z, then we would be putting ourselves in a position where we couldn't be successful and they couldn't be successful. And so I think we really figured out along those paths like what the ICP is for that business, and at least the things that they need to have in place, but also like the communication side, like ignoring certain ways that a client would communicate in the onboarding process or in the sales process, where like, oh, maybe like this isn't a good client because the way that they're communicating with us, and just not overlooking those things, because I've done that before, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, like I saw all these signs and I should have just said no.
I completely hear you, and I think that's amazing. Like Colombian culture is very unique. It's very different from American culture, and things can take a longer time. You know, people tend to be very friendly and welcoming and community based, which I love, but it is something different to learn to navigate.
Hmm.
And I've dealt with that myself, whether just doing Airbnbs or, whatever it is. Sometimes when you're at a restaurant, you just kind of have to expect that it might take a little bit longer because they might just not have a bigger sense of urgency. But I think that's really awesome. And I've dealt with the same thing in my agency, is just getting better at qualifying people, because I'm sure you're at the point where you can't work with everyone and you don't want to work with everyone, and you want to be careful and mindful about who you share your time, your value, and your energy with, and that's super important in so many different ways.
Yeah, 100%. And that there's really not. I mean, at this stage of my life too, the amount of energy it takes to work with people, it's like it doesn't make sense because I have so many other things going on that to have my mind or mental capacity wrapped up in someone that just is not aligned with what we're doing or isn't communicating in an ideal way, it just doesn't make any sense.
Definitely. Well, wow, we've covered so much, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to talk. It's been hard between our busy schedules to nail down a time. Thank you so much. I'll put your contact information in the show notes.
Yeah, that
And
sounds great.
perfect. And for everyone else, thank you for tuning in, and join us on the next episode of the Breakthrough Blueprint.
Thanks for having me, Mel.